What if you're not being ignored? You're just unclear. Let me ask you something brutal. Are you being overlooked, or are you just walking like you're lost? See, life doesn't listen to noise. It listens to direction. It responds to clarity. It opens for those who move like they belong. But most people, they drift. They doubt. They disguise hesitation as humility. And then they wonder why doors don't open. Let me tell you a truth few will say out loud. The world doesn't reward intention. It rewards conviction. And no, you don't need to know every step. But you do need to walk like the man who knows where he's going, because this world, chaotic as it may seem, has a strange habit of bending for those who walk with purpose. That's why today we expose the lie of not ready. We destroy the myth of waiting for clarity, and we step into a new identity, one that moves with certainty even before certainty arrives. Napoleon Hill wasn't poetic, he was surgical. He gave us a code. If you move with direction, life makes space. Let's begin. There is a strange silence that follows a man who hesitates. He walks into the world with uncertainty in his step, and the world mirrors it back. Doors remain closed. Opportunities pass him by. Respect never arrives, not because he lacks value, but because he walks like he doubts it himself. Let me tell you something few will admit. The world is not cruel. The world is obedient. It responds to what you broadcast. And if you broadcast confusion, indecision, or hesitation, the world will comply by staying out of your way. You will become invisible, not by force, but by lack of signal. I've seen it too many times. Men who are intelligent, talented, full of promise, but they carry no clarity. They drift from one idea to the next. They chase one opportunity after another. They overthink, overplan, overprepare, and never move. And do you know what happens? Nothing. The world does not punish them. It simply forgets them. Because attention, whether from people, money, or opportunity, is magnetized to certainty. You may think the world is ignoring you. You may think success is being unfair. But let me ask you, do you walk like a man who knows where he's going? Do your actions speak louder than your questions? Do you carry yourself like your destination is inevitable? If not, you repel what you're trying to attract. People avoid indecisive leaders. Investors distrust hesitant visionaries. Even relationships suffer when one partner lacks direction. And it's not personal, it's instinctive. We're wired to follow momentum, and momentum cannot come from confusion. Let me destroy a popular lie. You will never feel fully ready. Waiting for total clarity is the perfect disguise for fear. It gives you something noble to say while you quietly delay your future. Most people don't lack direction. They lack permission to act before they feel worthy. But here's the paradox. You don't become worthy before you act. You become worthy because you act. The man who moves despite uncertainty earns momentum, and momentum earns visibility, and visibility opens doors. The world doesn't wait for your confidence. It watches for your conviction. When you begin walking with clarity, even imperfect clarity, everything changes. People start offering support. Opportunities find you. Doubt still visits, but it no longer paralyzes, because the man who moves decisively sends a signal. I'm going, with or without your approval. That's the kind of energy the world respects, because it's rare, and rare things command attention. Clarity is magnetic. It's not loud. It's not desperate. It's not performative. It's still. It's anchored. It's unapologetic. It doesn't beg to be seen. It demands to be followed. I've watched men with fewer resources, fewer connections, fewer advantages rise faster than the gifted. Why? Because they moved like their outcome was non-negotiable, and the world, with all its resistance, eventually made room, because it always does, for the man who walks like he belongs. Most people stall because they want a perfect blueprint, but life doesn't give maps. It gives moments. And the man who waits for certainty misses them. He misses the call, the introduction, the opportunity that didn't look like one, because he was too busy asking, what if I'm wrong? But the man who moves anyway, he learns faster, he adjusts in motion, he becomes known, and in the process, he begins to know himself. Let me be blunt. The cost of indecision is not just missed opportunities, it's erosion. Every day you hesitate, your confidence erodes, your identity weakens, your trust in yourself shrinks, and eventually you no longer believe in your own voice. You become someone who dreams loudly but walks softly, and the world stops listening. If you're tired of being invisible, walk like you're inevitable. If you're tired of waiting, decide. And if you don't feel ready, move anyway. Because the world does not move for the talented, it moves for the certain. And the man who acts like he knows where he's going, even before he fully does, will always find that life makes room. Every transformation begins with a moment, quiet, subtle, but seismic. A moment when a man who has been drifting stops, not because someone handed him a map, not because a voice whispered the exact path, but because he finally grew tired of waiting, tired of watching doors open for others, tired of feeling invisible in a life he was born to command. This is the turning point, and it doesn't happen with applause. It happens in silence. You may not remember the exact hour, but you will remember the feeling. Something inside you stiffens, not out of anger, but out of resolve. You look in the mirror, and for the first time, you stop asking if you're ready. You simply say, I'm going. And it's in that decision, not a seminar, not a book, not a plan, that your real life begins. Because now, your actions begin to align with something deeper, direction. It's not flashy at first. There's no parade, no viral moment. But things begin to move. People look at you differently. You stop explaining yourself. You start declining what doesn't align. Your voice gets clearer, not because it's louder, but because it's coming from a place of certainty. You no longer wait for permission. You walk like you're already expected, and that alone changes everything. Most men don't lack direction. They've just abandoned their compass, buried it under noise, numbed it with distractions, silenced it with other people's opinions. But the compass doesn't die, it waits. And when you finally sit with yourself long enough, you begin to hear it again. This is the way. And though it may not be paved with clarity, it is paved with truth. You begin walking, stumbling perhaps, but walking with deliberate motion. And motion creates confidence, because confidence is not a feeling. It's a consequence of movement. As you rise into certainty, something unexpected happens. You begin losing people, not because you changed, but because you became clear. And clarity offends those still hiding. Friends drift. Conversations dry up. Approval disappears. Good, let it, because your path was never about pleasing them. It was about aligning with you. The man who walks with purpose will always walk through moments of isolation, but that solitude becomes power, because you no longer seek confirmation. You bring your own. Then something strange begins to happen. You find that people start offering help. Opportunities start appearing. Strangers respect you. Doors open. Why? Because your movement has become your message. You're not asking, you're not waiting, you're not hoping, you are moving. And the world has the habit of making room for men who move with intention. This is no longer theory, it's gravity. It feels quiet, it feels clean, it feels powerful. Not because there's no fear, but because fear no longer decides. You show up to rooms and stop proving. You stop auditioning. You stop shrinking to fit. You occupy space. Not with arrogance, but with alignment. Because when you know who you are and where you're going, you don't ask for a seat at the table. You build your own. And others, curious, confused, or hungry, will begin to follow the man who is moving. The world didn't change, you did. And now the world must respond. Because the man who knows where he's going, or at least walks like he does, is not asking for access. He's creating gravity. He's creating momentum. He's creating his future in real time. So keep walking, even when it's quiet, even when it's slow, even when it's lonely. Walk like you're going somewhere. Walk like you belong there. Walk like the world will have to make room. Because if you keep showing up with direction, it will. Clarity is not a gift. It is not found. It is not stumbled upon. Clarity is built deliberately, relentlessly, internally, because the world will not hand you direction. It will only reflect what you already carry. So here is the system. the process to create a life that moves with purpose and leaves no room for doubt. Step 1. Define your North Star in writing. A man who doesn't define his target will always serve someone else's. So you begin by asking, what outcome is non-negotiable for me? If I had no fear and no need to please, what would I build? Then you write it, not think it. Write it. Your clarity must be visible, because if you can't see it, you can't walk toward it. This is not a wish list. This is your declaration of intent, and from it, your next steps are born. Step 2, reverse engineer the identity. Once you know where you're going, ask, who must I become to belong there? This is about more than habits. It's about identity. If your North Star is to lead, you must become the man whose decisions command trust. If your goal is to build, you must become the man who finishes what he starts. So define what your future self does daily, what he no longer tolerates, how he shows up even when no one's watching. Then become him now, not next week, not after your confidence catches up. Now, because identity is not something you wait for, it is something you wear until it becomes real. Step 3, install the 2-hour rule. Every morning before the noise of the world rushes in, spend the first 2 hours moving in the direction of your outcome. No phone, no messages, no reaction, just building, creating, advancing, because the world belongs to the man who moves first. These 2 hours done consistently will do more than create progress. They will reshape your identity. They will convince your brain, this is who I am now. And when you believe that, momentum is no longer optional, it becomes your default. Step 4, track proof, not perfection. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things and see that they're being done. So build a visible system of accountability, a daily check mark on your calendar, a scoreboard of completion, a ritual of reflection, because what is measured improves, and what is visible repeats. This visible trail of progress, no matter how small, will fuel the fire you need to walk with confidence. Step 5, make recalibration a weekly ritual. Every week, sit down with your life. Ask, what moved me forward? What pulled me off course? What gets doubled down next week? What gets eliminated completely? You're not doing this to feel productive. You're doing this to become precise. Direction is a compass, not a straight line, and only those who recalibrate consistently stay on course. Step 6, surround yourself with forward energy. Clarity thrives in aligned environments. Confusion festers in noise. Audit your inputs. Do the people around you know where they're going? Do your conversations elevate your standards? Is your digital space feeding you clarity or chaos? Because you cannot walk like you belong in greatness if you're surrounded by voices committed to smallness. Change your circle, or walk alone until the right ones catch up. Step 7, create internal landmarks. External rewards take time. So install internal wins that remind you daily that you're on track. Examples, I do what I said I'd do. I showed up even when I didn't feel like it. I built momentum today. These become anchors, emotional proof points, fuel for the journey, because the man who only moves for applause will quit long before the world sees his value. But the man who walks for principle is unstoppable. Direction is not about knowing every step. It's about walking like the outcome is inevitable. And the man who builds a life like this, day by day, step by step, will no longer beg for clarity. He will become it. And the world, it will do what it has always done. Make room. Let us end this journey where all transformation begins in the mind of a man who decides he is done being moved and is ready to move the world, because by now you've seen it clearly. The world does not respond to noise. It does not respond to talent alone. It does not even respond to need. It responds to certainty. It bends for direction. It follows the man who knows where he's going, knows what he stands for, knows how to walk, even when the map is incomplete. This man is not louder, he is clearer, and that makes him magnetic. Why will most men never walk this way? Because this path is not easy. It demands death. Death of who you used to be. Death of the comfortable, compliant, vague version of yourself that waited for signs. The man who lives with direction must bury his addiction to praise, his obsession with being understood, his fear of standing alone, because once you start walking with clarity, you make others uncomfortable, not by force, but by contrast. You become a mirror. You show them what it looks like to move, and not everyone is ready to see that. But you must walk anyway, because your future is not up for public vote. What does it look like to move this way? It looks like discipline. It looks like simplicity. It looks like refusal, to delay, to doubt, to explain. You walk with unshakable habits, focused intention, quiet defiance. And that quiet power, the absence of desperation, makes you impossible to ignore. People can't quite describe it, but they feel it. They feel your energy. They sense your fire. They sense you're not asking, you're becoming. Something glorious begins. You stop shrinking. You stop muting your ambition. You stop dressing your greatness in small language. You walk into rooms and own your space, not with arrogance, but with alignment. Because you are no longer trying to prove anything. You are simply living out the proof. And the man who becomes the proof commands results that cannot be denied. You are no longer waiting, not for clarity, not for permission, not for motivation. You understand now. Motivation is a byproduct of momentum, and momentum is earned through movement. So you move, even when it's cold, even when it's quiet, even when no one is watching, because you are watching, and that is enough. You know now. You are your own source. You are your own evidence. You are your own fire. History remembers men like this, not because they asked to be remembered, but because they built something that could not be ignored. They wrote, they led, they created, they impacted, they finished what they started, and long after their names fade, their deeds live on, because direction, once acted upon, creates echoes, and those echoes shape worlds. You are not here to take up space. You are here to redefine it. So build with urgency, walk with fire, decide with clarity. You are no longer the man who hopes. You are no longer the man who hesitates. You are no longer the man who waits for confirmation. You are the man who moves. And because of that, the world must make room. Not because it's fair, not because it's kind, but because it cannot resist a man who walks like he already belongs. That man is you. Now go prove it. If you made it to this point, you're not just interested, you're becoming. So don't let this be another insight that fades. Let it be a decision that marks the shift. Subscribe. If you're done drifting and ready to walk with direction, hit the bell so you never miss the next level. Drop a comment. I walk like I belong. Like the video if it woke something in you, because this isn't content. This is identity. And every time you engage, you're reinforcing it. You're not here to blend in. You're here to be the proof. And I'll be right here, sharpening you with every word until the world makes room. See you in the next one.